Dick Pryor joins us tonight with his latest in a special series of reports, Oklahoma World War II stories. Dick.
The United States was walking a fine line in the months preceding its entry into World War II. America wanted to stay out of the war, but was involved in aiding its European allies. The U.S. was helping to arm Great Britain and Russia through a Lend-Lease program and was helping train British pilots. The U.S. was also taking economic sanctions against Japan. War was a possibility for the U.S., but it became a reality on December 7, 1941. Life was good in Hawaii in the early 1940s for American sailors like Paul Goodyear. He and his shipmates aboard the USS Oklahoma performed maneuvers and maintenance during the week, took liberty on the weekend, and enjoyed the laid-back island atmosphere. For farm boys like Goodyear, it was paradise. The war in Europe was half a world away.
It was a good ship. The officers were honest and fair, and it was considered a happy ship. It was a good ship to have duty on.
In just 11 and a half minutes on December 7, 1941, at Pearl Harbor, everything changed.
Like any other Sunday morning in Hawaii, beautiful sunshiny day, and we had come in on Friday night, and I'd had liberty on Saturday, and I had the 8 to 12 watch on Sunday morning, and we saw a line of planes, maybe 6, 8, 10, I really don't know how long it was, but they were flying from our starboard to our port side about a mile ahead of us. And as they got almost ahead of us, the first plane dropped a bomb. A minute later, the second plane dropped a bomb. Well, as the third plane dropped his bomb, there was a miniature ball of firelight. And I had a pair of 750 binoculars, and I put them to my eyes, and that meatball hit me right in the eye. And right then we knew it was the Japanese.
A few minutes later, another line of planes launched a second attack, and Goodyear plunged into the oily waters.
When I dropped off, the ship was still 90 degrees, so I just stepped off and dropped in the water and swam to the Maryland. This is only a 50-foot drop, so. And at that time, I didn't even worry. If it had been 500 feet, I think I would have jumped.
With dozens of heads bobbing around him and bullets hitting above him, Goodyear swam to the safety of the Maryland and watched the Oklahoma's mast roll over into the water. 429 sailors and Marines perished in the watery tomb that was the Oklahoma, the second greatest number of casualties suffered by the 9 battleships in the harbor.
The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, by air, President Roosevelt has just announced. The attack also was made on all naval and military activities on the principal island of Oahu.
I knew it was a war, and I knew I was going to be there for the rest of it if I lived.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you this important bulletin from the United Press. Flash, Washington. The White House announces Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor.
The attack on Pearl Harbor stunned the nation and left America no choice but to enter the war.
The facts of yesterday and today speak for themselves. I believe that I interpret the will of the Congress and of the people when I assert that we will not only defend ourselves to the uttermost, but will make it very certain that this form of treachery shall never again endangereth.
Goodyear served out World War II aboard other ships in the South Pacific, but he returned to Pearl Harbor and the Oklahoma 2 years later. The ship had been righted, and armed with a flashlight, Goodyear went back into the pitch-black crew compartment to look for 2 items he had left: a ring intended for a lady friend and $130.
It was just one big room, and we all shared the same area. And when I saw those bones down there, I knew very well that I knew a lot of those kids. Of course, there was no identification because there was just piles of bones, and they were just commingled all over the place. That's as far as I could go. I couldn't go any farther, so I never did get the ring or the $130. So, but I got out alive. That was the main thing.
Like many veterans, Paul Goodyear did not talk about his World War II experiences for many years. But now Goodyear is speaking up, telling the story of the USS Oklahoma and leading the fundraising for a permanent memorial to the Okie at Pearl Harbor. The USS Oklahoma is the only battleship at Pearl Harbor that does not have a memorial. That will change on December 7th when the USS Oklahoma Memorial is dedicated near where the Oklahoma was attacked, just off the coast of Ford Island on Battleship Row.
The Oklahoma, the old battle wagon, whatever happened to her?
Well, actually, it was righted in 1943. It took about 3 months to do that. It was sealed. It was put in dry dock. It was sold in 1946 for $46,000 to a scrapping company. And then they attached a tow line to it in 1947 in May, and they were taking it to San Francisco. The tow line broke. It sank again 3 miles under the Pacific. That's where it is.
And that's where she rests today.
It still is
Fascinating, Dick. Thanks a lot.
You bet.